YouTube, what a YouTube, Down Home News TV. We got an article coming from Fox News. It is titled, NYC Mayor Faces Bipartisan Blowback Over New Round of Migrant Debit Cards, Illegal Immigrant Debit Cards. The gravy train must stop. Must be nice to be an illegal immigrant, come over here and get things for free. Maybe later on in the future I'll tell you a little bit about my marriage and all that good stuff. But knowing what I know now, I would have did it the illegal way, like the immigrants are doing. But let's get into this article. New York City leaders from both parties slammed the move by Mayor Eric Adams' administration to distribute another tranche of thousands of prepared debit cards to migrant families. Tranche? While Adams' office claimed at its February inception the program would save the city as much as $7.2 million per year, some city lawmakers decried the latest allocation of 7,300 cards as a signal for more border crossers to come. Councilman Robert Holden, a Democrat from Glendale, Queens, said the gravy train for the migrants has to stop. Giving out free housing, food, and legal aid while protecting them from federal authorities is unsustainable and only makes the crisis worse. This madness needs to end now. That is crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. I don't even live in New York or in an area where I know in Mississippi we have illegal immigrants, but I don't think it is. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. I don't think it's as pervasive as, well, obviously not, because we don't have a sanctuary city here, but I do see a lot more of Hispanics, Mexicans, or I'm not sure the correct terminology to use, but I don't have a problem with them. I'm not saying I have an issue with them. I mean, they have lives, families they got to take care of. And if our government is saying, hey, come here, come get free stuff, and I was in their situation, I'd probably do the same thing. But at the same time, as an American, it's a real big slap in the face. And our tax dollars are helping to fund that situation. And take it back when I was in college. I used my GI Bill to finish college. And pretty sure I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but I was in a geography class. And yeah, I know I spoke about this before, but it talks about the well, this is the way I frame it. Back in the days when I was in high school and they spoke about the agricultural phase of the U.S., industrial phase, or the pre-industrial phase and industrial phase of the country, those were preparations of what our country was pushing forward to become. But since our books were so outdated we were kind of behind the curveball on actually seeing what was prepared for us. We was already living in it. When the books were printed, and by the time they got to us as students, but I forgot the de-industrial revolution too. But I wish I would have kept that book. I wish I would have bought it so I could keep it as like a tool to reflect on, since I'm doing videos now. But it's kind of like pre-programming, because I want to say there was what phase was it? It's killing me. But I'm pretty sure I spoke about it in my previous videos. But post-industrial, no. Was it the post-industrial world. And in a section of it, I spoke about how there'll be immigrants, illegal immigrants, however you want to pronounce it, say it, immigrants coming to the Western countries, and they'll be forming their own little, basically ghettos, I guess you would call it. And I could go a little bit further, but I'm gonna leave it at that. And yeah, but let's get into this video they have for us on Fox News.
We need to modify the sanctuary city law that if you commit a felony, a violent act, we should be able to turn you over to ICE and have you deported. You should be not committing crimes in our city for doing so. Right now, we don't have the authority to do so.
Speaking of New York City, let's get some perspective on the border crisis, the crime crisis. Joining us tonight, Rosanna Scotto. She's the co-host of Good Day New York on Fox 5 in New York. She's also hosting a Fox Nation special about Mayor Eric Adams called The Sanctuary Trap. Rosanna, great to see you.
Nice to see you, Brett. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So Eric Adams, it seems like from the time he campaigned until really now, has done a 180 on this issue of sanctuary cities.
I think he's had an epiphany along the way. I mean, when the migrants first came here, he was greeting them off the buses, holding babies, kissing them, and now he's realized we've got a problem. First of all, we have nowhere to put migrants. Today, over 70 of them were found living illegally in the basement of a furniture store in Queens. They have now been moved to a migrant shelter where they originally basically maxed out of. There was no more room at the inn, so they were living illegally under this furniture store in Queens. But let's talk about some of the crimes, because it came to a head recently when some migrants were accused of beating up police officers in the middle of Times Square. They were arrested, at least some of them were arrested, and then they were basically let go on bail or without bail. And I think the mayor had an epiphany and realized this can't continue. People were just so outraged in New York City that this was happening. Now, as a sanctuary city, the mayor is not allowed to have the police notify the feds that this is going on in the migrant community. But I think, as you heard, recently he's changed his tune. He would like to change the laws so that these people who were committing crimes in New York City would be deported.
Yeah, I want to play a clip from the sanctuary trap. Take a listen.
What would it take for you to close the front door?
I don't have the authorization to tell people they can't come into New York City.
Why not?
It's against the law. Even if someone commits a crime repeatedly, we can't even turn them over to ICE. I cannot break the law and enforce the law.
Obviously, we've seen this case in Georgia with Laken Riley. That illegal immigrant allegedly behind that murder was arrested in New York and was not turned over to ICE. If you look at these numbers, Rosanna, it's staggering. 173,900 asylum seekers. New York City has provided food, medical care, and shelter since 2022. I mean, those numbers are really large and have to impact the city across the board.
And it just seems endless, too. I mean, now there's a new program, a pilot program that they're going to test, where they're going to give about 500 migrants these credit cards basically to buy food and babies' needs, but a lot of people are so concerned that this is open to fraud. Just a lot of problems in New York City. Even the mayor is admitting it's gotten out of control. Everybody is stretched thin. Even some of the charitable organizations that have been trying to help some of the migrants realize there's got to be an end game here. It just can't continue this way. And we address all these issues in The Sanctuary Trap, which is now streaming on Fox Nation. And it's endless. It's endless. I think a lot of the migrant crime was going on in the shelters, and they were keeping it very quiet from the press. But now that it's spilled onto the streets, and we see it a lot, Times Square, wherever, they can't avoid it.
I'm gonna cut it off there, but that is crazy. I know he's a mayor. I'm not sure of what they can and cannot do, but when it comes to the protection of their citizens, that should be the number one issue. But I just don't understand how Trump says when he gets in office he's going to deport a lot of these immigrants, especially if they committed violent crimes. Excuse me. But I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with Klaus Schwab, and I believe one of his more famous quotes that are floating around nowadays are creating an angrier world. I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty sure that kind of makes a lot of Americans upset that actually work hard and pays their bills, taxes, and the government's handing out freebies to these immigrants. But I don't know. Hopefully one day things will turn around for the better for Americans. Down Home News TV, I'm Dre. Y'all have a good one.